Good evening. Welcome to the Minnesota Crossroads Career Network webinar tonight. My name's 𝙆𝙤𝙬𝙤 and I'm really glad you're here. I'm looking forward to a great lineup of speakers and content for you tonight. If you're not familiar with us, Minnesota Crossroads Career Network is a faith-based job transition support and networking and training group. We have all kinds of resources and help that I'll go through in a little bit here to make your job search as painless as possible. But we do take a different perspective and approach to things, and there is a perspective in the Bible that I think is important to rely on when we're going through difficult times in life, like a job search. If we trust him, God promises that he'll never leave us and never forsake us. Sometimes people falsely take that to mean that if we just sit and wait and fold our hands, God will work it all out for us. However, it's impossible to steer a parked car, and we still have to be moving. We have to keep doing the work. One example is when God freed Israel from slavery in Egypt. He directed them to the promised land, and they wandered around in the desert for 40 years first because they had a number of things they needed to learn. But then it was time for them to go and take the land that was promised to them. And in the book of Joshua, God tells them, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." They still had to go into the land and fight the battles to claim it, but they did the hard work. As they did the hard work, God gave them the victory. As we face challenges in life, if we lean into him and trust him and see what he wants us to learn, we need to do the work, but he will be with us wherever we go. When God is with you, how can you lose? It may still take some time, but ultimately you will prevail. I hope that as you work through your challenges and your job search, you look to God through his word, the Bible, for wisdom and inspiration and his power. Let me open up in prayer, and then I'll do an overview of what's available to you through Crossroads and encourage you to take advantage of all you can. Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight, even though we can still just do it virtually at this point. We pray that this night is a hope and an encouragement and provides information and resources for people to be able to succeed in their task ahead. Father, we just pray that this night and this evening honors you in Jesus' name. Amen. With that, let me share a few slides here and give you a perspective of all that's available. So again, welcome. And there's pictures of people meeting face to face, go figure, and they're not even wearing masks. Heresy. I'm just so looking forward to getting back to that. And I'm hopeful that sometime this summer we can do that and be safe and open it up as much as possible. Although one advantage in the meantime that we've had in doing these webinars instead is that we've been able to reach a broader audience. We've got people from all over the country, literally all over the world, and countries all over the world that have tuned into our webinars. And so I'm grateful for that. And I think going forward, as we start meeting in person again for the webinars, we're probably going to continue to live stream them as well so that people can take advantage of it. But let me give you an idea of what to expect tonight. For a few more minutes here, I'll give you an overview and introduce you to all the things that we have available through Crossroads. And then I'm going to introduce John McMunn. I'm really looking forward to having him talk about a crossroads in his career. And then I'm very glad to have Kevin Knebl. He is, as you've probably seen from the material that we've had out there, but an international speaker and has a terrific presentation on know, like, and trust factor for your job search. And then I'll wrap up for a couple minutes at the end and we'll be done by 8:30. It's somewhat of a moot point at the moment since we're combining efforts online, but when we do meet in person, we have 3 locations in the Twin Cities area where we have Crossroads events and resources. Out of Grace Church in Eden Prairie, Woodbury Lutheran Church, and North Heights Lutheran Church in Arden Hills. So when we do start to meet in person again, really encourage you to find the location closest to you and take advantage of all you can. All the details are always going to be posted on our website at mncrossroads.com with dates and times and schedules of everything we have going on. And if you haven't checked out the website yet, I certainly encourage you to do that. There's all kinds of detailed information of everything we offer. There's a number of resources that are available, including we have our own job board. And there's a number of companies around the area that know what we do and want to have access to people that attend Crossroads and be able to hire those people. So we have a number of positions that get posted each week. In order for them to post on our job board, we require that they include a contact name and some contact information. So you're not just applying to a black hole. If you have a question or you want to follow up with someone, you have somebody you can reach out to. So check out the website and the job board and everything that's available there. On a weekly basis, we have a number of things we offer. We have our Networking with Grace group. It's focused networking for business professionals. Right now, we're doing that online as well through Zoom meetings, and they meet every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. We have West 1 and West 2. That's West Tang and West Roper that lead that for us. They do a tremendous job of making sure that everybody's walking out with something they can use each week. New contacts, new ideas, new leads, organizations you may want to pursue. So check it out. You do need to register in advance. The information is on our website, and we have a number of people that take advantage of that each week. We have one-on-one coaching available. We have a number of volunteers that are recruiters and HR people and all kinds of other areas of expertise that can help with any aspect of your job search, whether you want to get an opinion on your resume, or you want to talk through preparing for an interview, or perhaps do some mock interview practice, or talk about any other aspect of your job search. You can fill out the form as a request online, and somebody will follow up with you with to set up a phone call or a Zoom meeting to be able to talk through anything for your job search. Take advantage of that as often as you'd like. If you've been in your job search for more than 5 minutes, you've probably figured out this can be an emotional roller coaster. And so any additional support you can get is helpful. And we have a tremendous team of people that love to pray for you. And we have some counselors that if you have some more in-depth help that you need in this process. There's information is on our website as well. You can fill out a request there and somebody will follow up with you. But take advantage of getting some spiritual support in addition to the practical things or tactical things that we talk about. The most in-depth and ongoing help you can get through Crossroads is on our online classes. We have 8-week small group classes that are now meeting through Zoom meetings online as well. And we cover every aspect of effective job search strategy. We start with attitude, getting in the right frame of mind, and how are you presenting yourself, and how are you talking about your experience. We do some assessments so you can better articulate what makes you unique and what you bring to the table and what is different about you versus all the other candidates they're talking to. We talk a lot about networking. If you haven't heard, networking is a critical piece to a successful job search, and we cover that very thoroughly. We talk about how to target companies, best practices for resumes and how to improve yours, what types of interviews to expect and how to prepare and how to best address different situations. We talk about negotiating your offer and selecting the right one, and there's so much more. The content is really strong and it's current to today's marketplace. But I think equally important is just that weekly light accountability, the encouragement, moral support of being in this group with others and discussing the issues that you're coming across and problem solving for each other. And I think a lot of times, family and friends might not really be getting what you're going through this process. And so having a group where you can get some encouragement and hope each week can be a great resource for you. We also talk throughout the 8 weeks about God's perspective of your job search and your life and what that may mean to you. And so we have new classes starting each month. We have one coming up starting on April 20th on Tuesday afternoons, and then another one scheduled on the website already on May. And so check it out. You can pre-register online, and I really encourage you to jump in on these. This is where you really can get the most help and make the process go smoother. If you haven't seen it already, check out our LinkedIn group, MN Crossroads Career Network. You'll find some job postings, you'll find advice, you'll find event schedules, but you'll also find over 2,000 people now in this group most of which, or everybody that's there, has been part of Crossroads Career Network. They've gone through their own transition, taken advantage of our resources, and now they're at companies and willing to be networking contacts for you at those organizations. So as you have companies that you're looking to pursue, check out who's in our LinkedIn group and reach out to them and see if they can be of some help to you in some way. And then a lot of people ask me, you know, how they can give back after they've landed in a new job and they felt they benefited from Crossroads. This is the best way. I encourage you to stay in this group, be available for others that follow you, and be supportive and be of help once you land in a new job. So check out the LinkedIn group. Again, MN Crossroads Career Network. And our YouTube channel. We have our previous webinars that recently we started putting them up on the YouTube channel. And so if you missed some of our previous ones, you can review them there. And this one will be posted on the YouTube channel too within the next day here or so. And so check out what's there, take advantage and review those as often as you like. I also want to reference an additional resource we have coming up here. Thrivent has been a tremendous supporter and partner for us for quite a number of years. They supported Crossroads financially. They provide resources and help for us in other ways. And we will be partnering with them soon for something that I've asked for that they do a tremendous job with. They're going to have, on a rotating basis, 3 monthly webinars on managing your finances through job transition. This is a major factor for an awful lot of people. And so hopefully in May, those will be launching. Watch the website. We're going to be posting details soon, but just want to give you a heads up that those are going to be coming and encourage you to take advantage of those. I want to acknowledge that we have a number of people that support or volunteer for Crossroads in some way. Nothing that we do is able to get done because of 1 or 2 people. And we have actually over 40 people that volunteer in one aspect or another, and I'm grateful for each of them. They give of their time and their expertise and put in a lot of effort to help you in this process. And so I'm just grateful for the team we have, and looking for that to continue to grow as well. If you don't have a church home, I encourage you to check out one of our churches on a Sunday morning. They are all meeting in person and streaming online. And whether it's at Woodbury in Arden Hills or Eden Prairie, take advantage and partake in one of those services, or check them out at least as well. So with that, let me unshare the screen, and I'm really glad to be able to introduce John McMunn. John actually has volunteered with Crossroads in multiple ways, but he's recently gone through his own job transition and learned some things in the process. And I'm really glad to have him share it. I really appreciate John for all he's done and his attitude and all of this process that he's gone through. John, thanks for joining us. Take it away.
Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that. And I'm honored to be with all of you. I'm looking forward to this. So thank you for the opportunity. Some of you have heard this scripture a lot. I've heard it all my life, and that is, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. And that's in Matthew 9:38, as well as Luke 10:2. That scripture has tugged at me since I became a Christian in my early 20s. But I never knew what to do with it. I got in the corporate world in my early 20s. I went to work for Dale Carnegie Training for 7 years. And then at age 30, I started my own business doing executive coaching in 1988. And I've had that business over 32 years now. But again, I go back to that scripture. It always tugged at me. And I would go to missions conferences, and I would be tempted to, just chuck it all and get into the world of missions. But I didn't know what my calling was. Well, probably 7 years ago, I read a book called Halftime, and some of you are probably familiar with it. It was written by a fellow named Bob Buford. And as the name suggests, it's the halftime of your life. The subtitle of the book is Moving from Success to Significance. And what that means is you've had a pretty successful first half of your life. What are you going to do to make the next half of your life significant? And in my case, I was trying to figure out, what can I do to advance the kingdom of God? And how could I be that person that goes into the harvest field? Well, 5 years ago, I picked up a brand new client. And now, mind you, most of my clients up to this point are major corporations, Fortune 50 companies. But 5 years ago, I picked up a startup client in Nashville, Tennessee called 180 Health Partners. And this organization's sole purpose is they support opioid addicted mothers. That's all they do. I didn't even know that niche existed, but there's a company out there called 180 Health Partners. They wanted help in expanding their world from not just Tennessee, they want to get into other states. And I helped them grow into Kentucky, into Florida and Texas. But through the 5-year experience, I got to know this world of addiction and this world of these moms that just suffer through poverty and vulnerability and exploitation. It's a world I never knew existed. Well, fast forward to 1 year ago, just over a year ago, when COVID started, we work with these moms and getting them to AA meetings, because women who are addicted to heroin, or anybody who's addicted to heroin, they count on in-person AA meetings. Well, those are all gone away now. So it was my job to start letting these moms know we can get them on online meetings. Well, one day I was talking to a woman who's 32 years old, addicted to heroin, has a 10-year-old daughter, and her life is just a mess. She just lost her job as a waitress. She's in Eastern Tennessee, near the Smoky Mountains, rural Tennessee. There's just no hope for her in another job, 10-year-old daughter. And I called her and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to get you on online AA meetings. And she said to me, why do you think I have a computer? Which was my first glimpse of how naive I am. And then I said, well, you know what, we can help you with that. I'll call Blue Cross Blue Shield Tennessee and we'll get you a computer through Medicaid dollars. And she said, no, you know what, don't worry about me, because I'm going to actually move to Nashville from Eastern Tennessee. I'm going to move to Nashville. I'm going to give my daughter to my sister, she said, and I'll make it out there. And I said, well, hold on, let's back up. What are you going to do in Nashville? And without even blinking, she said, I'll be a prostitute. I'll be a prostitute. No shame, no nothing. That's matter of fact with conviction. That's what she was going to do. So after I swallowed hard on that one, I said, well, why would you give your daughter to your sister? And she actually said these words, because I'll be tempted to traffic her. I'll be tempted to traffic my 10-year-old daughter. And at that point, I just felt like I got hit in the stomach so hard. I thought, this can't be something people do. Well, in fact, it's so common, you can't believe it. And it was at that moment, through all my prayers over the years of, God, what's my calling? What could I do in my halftime moment to advance the kingdom of God as I move forward? That was it. So from that moment on, I changed my entire mindset. That was my answer to my prayer. And I said, I will do whatever I can take to transition my life from the corporate world that I'm in to the fight to end human trafficking. So I started my process. In fact, one of the first meetings I had was with 𝙆𝙬𝙘𝙪, and I sat down with him and he gave me his advice, in which I was invaluable. And I started to look at who actually does human trafficking, who's in this world. And mind you, I've had my own business for 32 years. So the job transition or job search is brand new to me. So I started to research trafficking organizations, and I landed on about 30 of them. And I whittled that down to about 10. I really wanted to go with a Christ-centered organization. And it turned out that there were about 3 that I ended up with that I was pursuing. And in fact, all 3 offered me positions. So I was very fortunate. And I actually went to one in Nashville called 180 Health Partners. And 180 Health Partners is not 180 Health Partners. The one I went with was Compassionate Hope. Compassionate Hope is based in Nashville, but they work exclusively in Southeast Asia. They work in Thailand, in the Philippines, and in Laos. And by the way, I learned that Laos is actually pronounced Lao, not Laos. So it's those 3 areas that they work in exclusively. And you might say, well, why Southeast Asia? You know, you're just talking to a woman in Eastern Tennessee. Well, the worst trafficking in the world is in Southeast Asia, in Asia. Number 1 is Thailand, and it's just off the charts. The 50% of the tourist dollars that are spent in Thailand, 50% have something to do with sex tourism. They don't just have expats over there, they have sexpats. There are people from this part of the country that live there now for that reason. It's stunning. And I don't even want to go into some of the stories because they're so dark and decadent, but I've been drawn to this organization for a couple of reasons. One is they not only identify these children that need rescued, but they also rescue them in partnership with other organizations. And then we provide homes for these kids for years. So if we rescue a 10-year-old child, we put them in a home, which is called, we put them in villages of hope, they're called, and they're in all 3 countries. And we provide for them an education. We have a school for them. We provide a church where we share the gospel consistently with them. We provide agriculture opportunities for them where they actually grow their own food for their homes, and then they sell that food to the local marketplace. So, and these areas of Villages of Hope are protected by serious security, because you can imagine we're not real popular in these countries, especially Laos, where it's a communist country. And we've constantly wrestled with the fact that the #1 religious, spiritual group in Laos is Buddhism. And so there's all kinds of moving parts to this and options that you have to consider. But anyway, so 2 months ago, I became director of operations for this organization, and it is the answer to prayer. And I would just share with you now, the harvest is plentiful. This industry of trafficking, and I'm just not talking about sex trafficking, I'm also talking about labor trafficking, fetal harvesting trafficking. It's off the charts, it's growing. Trafficking is the 2nd largest criminal business enterprise in the world today, second only to drug trafficking. It's a $150 billion industry all over the world. Every zip code in this country, in the United States, has human trafficking. Places in Minnesota, like the Mall of America, like Valley Fair, they're homes for trafficking. And it's a crisis that's hidden in plain sight. My point in sharing this with you is there's a lot of room for those of you on this call. If you are at the halftime of your life and you think, the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few, what could I do to advance the kingdom? Or what could I do to help mankind? If you're secular in this, it's trafficking, it's out there. And I will tell you, all my life I've thought about the verses in James and Job and in Psalms where it says, our life on this earth is a vapor, it's a mist, it's a breath. And in Minnesota, we see our breath many months of the year, and it's there and gone, just like that. And if that's the case, then we really do need to maximize our lives for the greater glory. And I would encourage anyone on this call, if you are interested in this world of human trafficking and you are at your own transition point, I would love to talk with you. And I'll put on the chat here my contact information, if that's okay, because the harvest is absolutely plentiful. That's for sure. I do want to share one thing that I thought was interesting in my job search, because actually this is all new to me, as I told you. And I was really playing by what I learned from Crossroads. But I will tell you, as I'm speaking to you right now, and I just went through a job search, I do not have a resume. I don't own a resume. Now, why don't I? Because I don't want to minimize the importance of resumes on this call right now, but nobody asked me for one, which I thought was so interesting. I scratched my head over it. Instead, what they did ask for, or what they did look for, was my LinkedIn profile. Every one of them said, don't need a resume, we'll check you out on LinkedIn. So if there's one quick tactical lesson I want to share in my own job search, is bolster your LinkedIn, because I've discovered it's really important. So with that, I'll end my comments, but I can't encourage you enough to get in this world of trafficking if you have an interest in it. And I will tell you, I go back to how I started this with the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few, Matthew and Luke. And I prayed all my life for what is my calling. And I would encourage you to prayerfully consider your next move, whatever it may be. And I just pray that you have peace in whatever that is, and that it will be productive for you. And the last thing I want to share is a very sincere, heartfelt thank you to 𝙆𝙤𝙬𝙤. Harry has really helped me over the last couple of years, because I have been involved in Crossroads in various ways. And Harry, I just want to thank you for your support and your friendship. I love you very much, and I really appreciate the friendship that we have. And with that, I'll move on. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And definitely the feeling is mutual. I've really appreciated the friendship and everything you've done. Powerful things to consider. Actually, you and I have talked about this before, but I haven't really grasped the depth of some of the challenges out there. So that's pretty powerful in my mind. Next, I'm really looking forward to introducing Kevin Knebl. this came about actually from somebody that, an executive that I was coaching, and he knew we had talked about Crossroads, and he says, boy, you ought to talk to Kevin Knebl. He is a great speaker. He's a great teacher, and has incredible knowledge and advice about LinkedIn. And I looked him up, and I find out he's an international speaker, and he's the most requested corporate speaker in the world. And I'm thinking, boy, our budget for this kind of stuff is zero, but we'll pay him double. But I reached out, and he was more than gracious and willing to come and share with us tonight. And so I'm extremely grateful. He's got a tremendous background, knows of what he speaks, and I'm just very glad to have him join us and present. And he's actually in Oregon, so we're in different time zones here, but it all came together and worked. Kevin, thanks so much, and look forward to hearing you for the next hour.
Thank you very much, Harry. And can you hear my voice?
Can hear you fine.
As they used to say in the Verizon commercials, can you hear me now? Harry, can you see my LinkedIn screen?
I can.
Yes. Okay. And I just want to say, hey, everybody, thank you so much for having me. And Harry, thank you for your very kind introduction. I apologize to you all that right now it is 5:26 in the afternoon on the northern Oregon coast. And the way that I have my windows in my home, it's a little bit dim in here. So I apologize about that. But don't worry about it. I have a face for radio anyway. You probably aren't missing anything. And my name is Kevin Knebl. As I just mentioned, I live in a little village on the northern Oregon coast, about 250 people. It is literally a slice of heaven. I'm very blessed that I have a home on a 300-foot high cliff directly above the Pacific Ocean. So I'm looking down at the village right now and some people walking on the beach. And when I look out these windows, I'm looking at some sea lions laying on some rocks out there, and it's heaven on earth. And I hope it's beautiful where you are. So I'm excited to share with you what I'm about to share with you. Let me give you a couple of pieces of information that'll provide context. A lot of what I do in terms of speaking, training, coaching, and consulting goes anywhere from an hour to 2 days in length. I do brief presentations, breakouts, keynotes, half-day boot camps, full-day boot camps, sometimes multi-day boot camps. We've got about an hour. I'm going to cram a lot into this next hour, okay? I'm going to probably be talking at about 500 words a minute with gusts up to 3,000, okay? But it's being recorded, which means you can always go back and you can watch it again. In advance, if anything I say causes you to want to go deeper into this, please realize I'm always a phone call or an email away. I'm happy to help if I can help. That is not a thinly veiled sales pitch. It's not. I build time into my calendar as a way to do pro bono coaching, consulting, training. If I can help you in any way, I'm more than happy to help you. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds of my background, not because I like to hear about my background, but because my background is going to give you context for everything else that I'm about to tell you. I was born and raised in New Jersey, but not the snooky Tony Soprano part of New Jersey. I was actually born in the country. Yes, there really is such a thing. And what I used to do for a living many years ago, back when the earth was cooling, was I used to actually be a piano player in the New York City area. That's me in the late 80s. My hair was 18 inches long. It's actually pretty close to 18 inches again. But back in those days, I was a pianist. And I can assure you, if you're a right-brained, artsy-fartsy piano kind of guy, it's fun, but it's not necessarily financially lucrative. When I started having mouths to feed, I needed to change careers. So what I did was I went to the newspaper. You see, Al Gore had not invented the internet yet. So what I did was I had to go get a newspaper and look at the classifieds and the help wanteds and find a job. The only job I could find was 100% commission sales. Let me be blunt. A sex change would have been more in my comfort zone than going from right-brained artsy-fartsy piano player to 100% commission sales. But you do what you have to do. I cut off my hair, I got a suit, I went to work, and I literally threw up every morning on my way to my first sales call. I was so scared, so out of my element, but I was very, very blessed. God blessed me. He put some mentors in my path that taught me, Kevin, you can get as good as you want at your chosen profession, but that is no guarantee of success, and it's certainly no guarantee of a job. So that confused me because I was very naive. I said to my mentors, well, if I'm really good at what I do, shouldn't that mean that I will always be in demand and I can like dictate my own terms? First, they laughed at me. And then they said, well, Kevin, use some common sense. If everybody that's good at what they do was in demand, there would be no unemployment. Everybody would be reaping this huge harvest based on the fact that they're just good at what they do. But you and I know, look around at society, there's lots of people that are very good at what they do. A lot of them are probably you watching me right now. But just because you're good at what you do is no guarantee of success. So I said, what's the guarantee of success? And they said, well, there is no guarantee, but the closest thing to a guarantee is to combine your chosen profession, your knowledge of your chosen profession, combine that with an ever deepening understanding of how to create, nurture, and deepen relationships. Now, when they said that to me, I'm like, oh boy, here comes the motivational pitch. And they said, no, this is not a motivational speech. This is pure, simple, uncommon sense, because especially nowadays, common sense seems to be taking a vacation. So they said, Kevin, you of course continue to get better at what you do, but really focus and study. That's the key word. Study interpersonal skills, networking skills, conversational skills, relationship building skills. So I never went and studied sales skills. I went and got How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie and some other related things. And I went from never having sold a thing in my life to not too many years later, I was the top salesperson for 4 different companies in 4 different industries, including being the top salesperson in the world for an international consulting company with 350 salespeople in 15 countries. The reason I'm telling you that, folks, isn't to brag that I could sell ice cream to Eskimos. The reason why I did so well in sales is because I was the most unsalesy person you'd ever meet. Still am, by the way. What I do is I focus on taking a sincere interest in other people. And then because I've studied things like networking and relationship building, it's really easy then to convert that to a job or to sales or whatever it is you're trying to do. So whether I talk on a brief webinar like we're doing right now, or whether you heard me for 2 days, everything that you're going to hear me talk about comes back to this one sentence right here. All things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. I hope you don't mind if I'm a little blunt, only because of time constraints. If I say anything in this webinar this evening that's a little bit blunt, I'm not trying to be mean or Jersey. It's just that the clock is ticking. So let me say something blunt. I run around the world, literally stand on stages all around the world. And in the first 5 minutes, I always lay this out for the audience. And I always look at the audience and say, is there anybody in the audience that would disagree with that statement? I've never had anybody stupid enough to say that that statement isn't true. It's ridiculously true. But now I'm going to make a very important point, and I'm going to sound like a philosopher, but I'm not being philosophical. I'll back it up with practical application momentarily. Even though everybody intellectually knows that this is true, very few people have the experiential evidence to suggest that they really deeply understand it. That's not abstract philosophy. I'll use an example. Again, I'm not trying to offend you. I speak in metaphors, which was the same thing Jesus did. Why do you think Jesus did it? Because it's incredibly effective. A 600-pound man could have a PhD in nutrition, but the fact that he's 600 pounds would be the experiential evidence that he has no experiential evidence of the nutrition. He has an intellectual understanding of it, but the fact that he's 600 pounds shows that he might understand it on paper, but he doesn't understand it in real life. So I'm not trying to make fun of large people. I'm just using a metaphor. As I run through this webinar, I'm going to repeatedly show you how everything comes back to know, like, trust, what I refer to as the KLT factor. I'm not a career coach, but I have been blessed to help many, many, many people over the years identify and secure new jobs by using LinkedIn and networking skills. That's not even in my career description, but it's just a natural byproduct because everything I'm talking about is principle based. So let me throw one more thing at you and then we'll jump onto LinkedIn for a minute. sometimes I say things and they're a little strong. Just realize that I'm strong because I know, because I have the evidence to show that I'm right on particular matters. I don't care if you're looking to sell. I don't care if you're looking to get a job. I don't care if you're looking for a date. All of those things, they're at the end of the day, there's just 3 steps to any and all of those things. But don't take my word for it. As I walk you through the next couple seconds, try to poke a hole in what I'm saying. I doubt you can. If whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, there's only 3 steps. I'm going to walk you through these steps verbally. Then we're going to get on LinkedIn and I'm going to show you how it works in the real world. So this isn't abstract philosophy. The first step is, number 1, you have to have ways to find the people, and the people that you want to do things with have to have ways to find you. I don't care how good you are at what you do. If you can't get in front of the right person, it doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. You're basically an expert on an island somewhere with a volleyball named Wilson, okay? So number 1, you have to have ways to find the people, and the people have to have ways to find you. I can assure you, this is the least of your issues, okay? They have this new thing called the internet. It's gonna be big, okay? They also have LinkedIn. By the way, LinkedIn launched on Cinco de Mayo, 5th of May, 2003. I got on LinkedIn in July of 2003, not because I'm a computer geek. I'm not a computer geek. I'm an old school belly to belly, stomach to stomach, beer to beer, cigar to cigar kind of guy. But I got on LinkedIn 60 days after it launched. I never imagined that someday I would leave my corporate sales job and travel around the world and write books and be on television. I just looked at LinkedIn and said, oh, this is going to be a great tool in my sales toolkit. And then over time, it morphed into a speaking, training, coaching, consulting business. But I've probably looked at more LinkedIn profiles than just about anybody on earth, because I've literally been doing this longer than anybody on earth. So number 1, you have to have ways to find people. People have to have ways to find you. I'm going to show you a couple of those ways in a few seconds. Once you do that, then you go to the second step. You have to have ways to draw people into a conversation with you without them telling you to go take a hike. And I'm going to tell you, after working with countless individuals and organizations, it has become very clear to me that this step is the step where most people innocently drop the ball. And here's why. Most people drop the ball because they have no idea of how salesy or desperate they're actually coming across. They don't. I'm not calling people stupid. I'm just saying they don't see it. They have no understanding as to why they're not getting their phone calls returned, why their emails are going into a black hole, why their prospects or their potential employers are joining the witness relocation program. Well, they're not joining the witness relocation program because they know you, like you, or trust you, okay? They're joining the witness relocation program because they don't know you, like you, or trust you. So it's a very simple thing to learn how to get rid of that salesy or desperate kind of persona. Step 1, you got to find the people have to find you. Step 2, you have to be able to draw them into a conversation, otherwise nothing's going to happen. If you can accomplish step 1 and step 2, you are 500 miles ahead of your competition already, because most people can't do that. It's not that hard though. There's only 1 step left. The third step is you have to have methods, and I teach very simple and effective methods to stay top of mind with the people that you want to do business with, but not in a pestering way. What most people do in an attempt to stay top of mind with prospects and potential employers, networking partners, strategic alliances, whatever it is you're trying to do, what most people do is actually pestering, but they don't realize that they're pestering. They should realize it. The lack of anything happening would be the evidence of that, okay? But what I teach is never to be a pest. Always be increasing the know, like, trust factor, what I call the KLT factor. So in a nutshell, and then we'll jump on LinkedIn. In a nutshell, whatever it is you're attempting to accomplish, I would suggest it's only 3 steps, and I would encourage you to try to prove me wrong, okay? You're gonna have a hard time with that. Step 1, you better have a way to find the people, and the people better have a way to find you. I'm gonna show you in a couple seconds how that's shooting fish in a barrel. That is a piece of cake. Number two, once you find them or once they find you, you better be able to draw them into a conversation without the commission breath or without the desperate breath. Number three, you better have a way to stay top of mind without being slick, salesy, awkward, or creepy, so that when they realize that they need your services, they hire you and they don't hire somebody else. It's no more complicated than that. The worst way in the world to teach somebody how to ride a bike is to show them a PowerPoint presentation on how to ride a bike. The best way is to put them on the bike. So let's get on the bike for a minute. You've probably heard people talk about LinkedIn before. Have you heard anybody do it before that was the top salesperson in the world for 4 different companies, has personally earned millions of dollars using LinkedIn, and has helped his clients generate over $400 million using LinkedIn? You haven't. That's me. I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm just establishing credibility. If you're going to learn how to do something, it would be nice to know that the person that's about to teach it to you has done it. You can always tell a tree by the fruit it bears, okay? So I'm going to only take a couple minutes to talk about LinkedIn profile optimization. I could take 2 hours to cover this. We don't have that much time. It is a large subject. It's not really served in 10 minutes, but we don't have a lot of time, folks. The reason I start here with everybody is because even though you're all on mute, let me ask you to answer this question. You only have one chance to make a good first and all the muted people said impression. That is correct. I would bet you a very large pile of $20 bills that 95 to 97% of the people on LinkedIn have LinkedIn profiles which do not deliver a good first impression. I am not calling these people stupid. I'm just saying that they have not thought it through. They have not said to themselves, how can I create a LinkedIn profile that not only positions me as good at what I do for a living, but also positions me as a human being that is knowable, likable, and trustable, okay? Most people's LinkedIn profiles look like cold, sterile resumes. Only an idiot would think that a cold, sterile resume would ever in a million years lead to know, like, trust. Again, most people think they understand this. They don't. They think they do, but they don't, even though the evidence is staring them in the face. So I don't think that there's one right way and one wrong way to have a LinkedIn profile. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable with the way that you're delivering that first impression to people. I'm going to show you a couple of my private coaching clients very quickly to show you contrast, so you can look at this like a menu. When somebody says, this is the way you need to make your LinkedIn profile, that should be a red flag to you, because there isn't, this is the way to do that. No, it's what feels comfortable within your personality, within your situation. So again, this isn't a seminar or a webinar on LinkedIn profile optimization, but to get into how to identify the people, communicate with them, and get them to hire you before delivering a first impression is insane. It makes no sense. So we have to start with LinkedIn profile optimization. Let's do this very quickly, and I'm going to go fast, okay? Do not worry about what these people do for a living. It is irrelevant, because gravity doesn't care what you do for a living. Gravity doesn't care if you're black or white or fat or skinny or hairy or bald or old or young, doesn't matter. Gravity treats everything the same. That's why gravity is a principle. I only teach principles. So I'm going to show you this. Don't think, well, these people do something different than what I do for a living. Who cares? I'm going to point at the principle. Ludo is a financial advisor. Doesn't matter. He has a nice headshot. Everybody has a cell phone. Mine has the Grateful Dead on the back of it. Go ahead and just take a nice picture, smile. Kevin, I don't have good teeth. Show them anyway. Smile, okay? Then you can go back to frowning if you want. By the way, smiling, a little bit knowable, likable, and trustable, right? The background picture on Ludo's profile, I guess he likes mountains. There's his company logo. If I show you Barry, Barry's an insurance guy in Los Angeles. He's using the background picture as a branding tool. Kevin, I'm looking for a job. Well, what's the difference between that and branding? Searching for financial freedom is like trekking through the jungle. I took that, I put a picture of a jungle behind it, and I said, Barry, wouldn't it be easier for people to communicate with you without having to dig through your LinkedIn profile to find your contact info? Let's put your phone number. Let's put your email address up there, brother. Let's make it simple, easy peasy. If I show you Alex, I think is 4th generation San Francisco. So we just put a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge behind Alex. So again, this is valuable real estate. You're only limited by your imagination. We need to put something in there. If we go back to Ludo, now, if you have any letters after your name, go ahead and put them in. As they say in Texas, if you did it, it ain't bragging. But I want to take a couple minutes now and talk about the headline. This is critical. Underneath your name, you have 220 characters. It was 120 for 16 and a half years. LinkedIn just opened it up to 220 characters. And what most people do is they put their job title and the company they work for. Big mistake. So now I'm going to go down a road that's going to sound like a detour, but it's not. One of the most unintelligent questions you can ask another human being is, what do you do for a living? Because it's not a conversation starter. What I started asking people many years ago was some variation of this. If I met Harry Urschel somewhere in an airport bar, 7-Eleven, whatever, I'm never going to say, Harry, what do you do for a living? Because I've studied conversation skills for decades. I'm going to ask Harry this question. Hey, Harry, tell me how what you do for a living delivers a lot of value to people. By definition, he can't answer that with a job title. What I'm doing is I'm giving him permission to talk about his favorite subject, which is himself. There's nothing wrong with that. That's human nature. But I'm also giving him permission to talk about how he helps people. I'm allowing him to brag a little bit on what he does. Makes him feel better about himself, gives me a better understanding of what it is he actually does and how he helps people. And we're off to the races on a good know, like, trust relationship instead of just comparing business cards with job titles. So I'm going to give you all a little tip right now that is going to sound so simple and so minor. But in reality, in a way, it's the keys to the entire kingdom. If you will treat LinkedIn, and by extension, any social media platform you participate on, if you will treat it like a cocktail party, and I'm aware that that sounds weird, so I'm going to explain it in a moment. If you will treat it like a cocktail party, your results will go through the roof. So what do I mean by that? I mean a couple things. If I was in a cocktail party and I bumped into these people on the right-hand side of the page, if I went up to Sean and I said, hey, Sean, tell me how what you decided to do as a career delivers a lot of value to people, he would not answer with president and chief investment officer focused investment, because he would sound like a robot. If I said, Arif, tell me how you and what you do all day, every day is really a blessing to other people, he wouldn't answer. Senior investment analyst and ensemble cap. So most people have no conception whatsoever of how cold and sterile their LinkedIn profile is. I don't know if any of you are Seinfeld fans, but I'm a big Seinfeld fan. I remember an episode where Jimmy liked Elaine, but Jimmy talked in third person. So he would say things like, Jimmy likes Elaine, and Elaine would be like, oh, who's this Jimmy guy that's really into me? And it was just, Seinfeld zaniness. Tell me how writing your LinkedIn profile in third person makes sense? It doesn't. So most people are writing things in third person, and it's very cold and sterile. With Ludo, this said financial advisor. I said, Ludo, yes, you're a financial advisor, but you are really selling yourself short. You are lumping yourself in with a lot of other people. You have no differentiation whatsoever. Why don't we create either a sentence approach or a bullet point approach to what you do and how you deliver value? So what he came up with was simplifying complex financial lives for high net worth families and successful executives. I might be a couple fries short of a Happy Meal, but even I know that that's 1,000,000 times more descriptive than job title. But that's not the only way you could do it. If I show you Colby, Colby's one of my coaching clients in Colorado. He wants to use a bullet point approach. So for Colby, 401k consultant, bullet point, investment advisor, bullet point, private wealth manager, bullet point. If I show you Robert, Robert's one of my current coaching clients down in Florida, another financial advisor. His used to say financial advisor. Read this. I'm the founding partner of Riverside Wealth. I help small business owners and high net worth individuals prepare to retire in the 0% tax bracket, providing the tools and education to make their dreams reality. Could you be any more clear than that about how you could potentially add value to the viewer or somebody that they know or care about? You couldn't. It's ridiculously clear. It's a trillion times more clear than you just giving me a job description. So I'm just showing you a couple examples. You better be explaining in the headline how you can actually deliver value. If you think that your job title is going to entice somebody to hire you, you're delusional. You need to exhibit value right out of the gate. Now, when we get down below here, obviously we need the contact info, phone number, blah, 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 blah. Then let's go down to where it says feature. Let's go down to the about section. In the about section, for 18 years, LinkedIn offered you 2,000 characters. Now it offers you 2,600, okay? Write it in first person because you don't talk at a cocktail party in third person, right? So we're trying to draw the viewer in. So here's how I typically suggest to my clients that they lay out their about section. Of course, do whatever's comfortable for you. I'm just making suggestions. Start with giving me a little bit about your background. So Robert was a pastor. He was a pastor in Georgia and Florida for years. So we explained that. Then I said, great, now tell me about what it is you do now. So he gets into the financial thing. Then I said, if you do anything in your local business community, mention that. So he mentions the Rotary Club and the Chamber of Commerce. And then I said, now that we've covered that, tell me to whatever degree you're comfortable, tell me about who you are when you're not working. Tell me about what makes you tick, what you enjoy doing. So he explains. He still teaches Sunday school. He and his wife, Angela, live on a river. When he's not working, he likes to spend time with his grandkids and his kids. He likes boating. He likes water sports. He likes traveling. He likes skiing. Yes, on one hand, I am telling you to put that in your profile to make you more human. That's smart. But there's multiple methods to my madness. You're going to see in a couple minutes how we're going to use that information to identify the people that we either want to get employed by or get a foot in the door somewhere. So the more you're willing to tell me about who you are, both within the professional world and also just as a well-rounded human being, the quicker I'm going to start to know you, like you, and trust you. Let me show you Bart. Bart's one of my current coaching clients in California. Great guy. He took my advice, and that's exactly what we did. What we did was he explains growing up in a family-owned restaurant. I said, okay, enough about that. Tell me about being in financial services. He covers that. Then I said, tell me if you do anything in the business marketplace. He covered that. Then I said, to whatever degree you're comfortable, Bart, tell me about what you enjoy doing when you're not working. So he explains that his wife and kids and he enjoy fishing, cooking, music, sports. Again, yes, this makes him more human, but you're going to see in a couple of moments how it does far more than that. Now, when we get down below there, we get into the featured section. This is a relatively new section on your LinkedIn profile. In the featured section, you can add various forms of media, white papers, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, Word documents. But let me give you a really simple example. No matter how well you write these words, nothing is going to beat a face-to-face experience of you. What if you just took your phone? What if Harry just took his cell phone and sat in his living room or on his deck and said something like this for maybe 90 seconds or 2 minutes? Hi, my name is Harry Urschel. Thanks for taking a minute out of your busy day to look at my LinkedIn profile. Let me share with you a little bit about what I do and how I do it, and maybe how I could be of benefit to you or somebody that you know. Blah, 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 blah. After a minute or so, Harry says, thanks again for watching my LinkedIn welcome video. All my contact information is up above and down below. And I'm always a phone call or an email away if you'd like to talk. God bless. Have a great day. Go Vikings. Right? I don't care how well we write the words in Harry's LinkedIn profile. When somebody sees Harry and sees that he's a warm, friendly, compassionate human being with a twinkle in his eye, a nice warm tone in his voice, that's going to speak volumes. Couldn't Harry create a series of videos? Here's, around his expertise. Every one of you watching me right now, you have expertise on various topics. Why not record a video? Maybe 5 videos, maybe 10 videos. I know a lot about XYZ. Let me tell you a little bit about XYZ. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can create all of this for free. Free's pretty good. And you could put it in your featured section. When we get down below there, we get into work experience. I'm going to make a suggestion that some of you are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm crazy like a fox. I just don't have all the time to explain all the ins and outs of this. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how many jobs you've ever had in your life. You need to put in every job you've ever had, no matter how long ago it was, and no matter how unrelated it is to what you're currently looking to do. Kevin, that sounds crazy. Yeah, it would sound crazy if I didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue to prove that it works, okay? So why would I do that, Kev? Couple reasons. I'm not supposed to be confused when I see that you graduated high school in '85 and the first job I see in your LinkedIn profile is in 2004. I'm not supposed to be confused that you were in the witness relocation program for 25 years. You see, most people don't realize how they're shooting themselves in the foot. When I see a gap in your work history, I'm not supposed to be confused by that. Well, Kevin, I took 7 years off to raise the kids and my husband worked, sometimes women tell me this. And I go, well, put it in your LinkedIn profile. Kevin, you're telling me I should put in my LinkedIn profile that I took 7 years off? Yeah, why? Are you embarrassed about it? Tell the truth. God doesn't create any junk. You have your life story. I got my life story. Let's compare. But when you don't tell me things, I'm not supposed to be confused or skeptical or cynical. The more you're willing to tell me within your comfort zone, the more quickly I'm going to build know, like, trust. So I suggest put in every job you've ever had in a simple first-person conversational cocktail party explanation of how you delivered value in those jobs, right? Then underneath there, we get into education. Most people I meet don't have their high school in their education on their LinkedIn profile. Big mistake. Why not put your high school in? Because it's another opportunity to build rapport. One of the things you're attempting to do here is build rapport as quickly as possible. So more than likely, Harry did things in high school that the person that's looking at Harry's LinkedIn profile also did in high school. Why not put it into the LinkedIn profile? While I was attending high school and trying to stay out of detention and play football and baseball, I also had a part-time job where I worked at the supermarket stocking shelves. Why would it be good for the viewer to read that? For a couple of reasons. Number one, maybe they did something similar or somebody they know did something similar. Number two, they can see that you're a person of character. You're not some rich stuck-up kid that was born with a silver spoon in his mouth that never worked a day in his life. So they can see that you're a human. Then get into college. Don't just tell me what college you went to and what degree you got. Give me an explanation of what the college experience was like. This is so simple, folks. Just be honest, be upfront to whatever degree you're comfortable. Explain it. That's all I'm going to say about that because I got a lot more I got to cover. But if you don't have a fully optimized LinkedIn profile that clearly conveys to the viewer that you obviously are qualified for the job, but that you're also obviously somebody that they could have a beer or a cup of coffee with. If you don't have that, then you are under the delusion that all things being equal is the thing that's going to get you the job. All things being equal just means you know what it is that you're doing as it relates to your chosen profession. You've already demonstrated that that's no guarantee of success. That's why you're in transition. No offense, okay? Obviously, get good at whatever it is you do for a living and always be deepening your understanding of know, like, trust, okay? Let's keep going. Harry, I don't think you would mind if I gave away some free gifts. I like to give away free gifts. I like to pay it forward. I don't just say that, I do it. I have evidence. This is my email address, kevin@kevinknebl.com. Knebl is 5 letters, K-N-E-B-L. Could I please buy a vowel, okay? Anybody watching this video right now or people in the future watching it, hello people in the future, please feel free to email me and say, Kevin, I was on the Minnesota Crossroads Career Network webinar. You said that I could email you and ask for your LinkedIn cheat sheet. Yes, email me. Don't send me a LinkedIn message asking for it. If you do, you've just exhibited to me that you have poor listening skills. Send me an email. at Kevin@KevinKnebl.com. Kevin, I was on the Minnesota Crossroads Career Network webinar. Would you please send me your LinkedIn cheat sheet? I will email you my LinkedIn cheat sheet, which has all kinds of tips to make your LinkedIn profile look better. And I'll even throw in all my LinkedIn templates that I normally charge $100 for. I'm not worried about it. God has blessed me abundantly because I've honored God's laws, right? I get up and I understand that money is just an echo of value. So I figure out how can I deliver value? Where is the value needed? And I get to work. It's very simple, okay? So please feel free to email me and ask for the cheat sheet. I'll send it to you. If you're a total overachiever, after you apply to your LinkedIn profile some of my suggestions, email me again. Kevin, I updated my LinkedIn profile. Would you mind looking it over? No problem. I've been doing it every day for 18 years. I can do it in 90 seconds. And I will go back and forth with you as little or as much as you want to help you fine tune it. Piece of cake. Pay it forward. Okay. So also feel free to send me a LinkedIn invitation and mention in the invitation, Kevin, I was on the Career Network webinar. I'm sending you a LinkedIn invitation. Great. At least now I know who you are and we have some basis to start a conversation. Okay. Easy peasy. Very, very simple. Next thing I want to talk about is you need to look at this like it's a Rolodex. Okay. Now, again, I hope that some of the things I'm about to show you aren't too rudimentary. I don't think they are, but hopefully they're not. You need to go up here where it says My Network. And then where you go to where it says My Network, by the way, here's a guy who's really good at instructions. Here's Afshin, you know what? I'm just going to call you AP. Here's AP. AP just demonstrated he is very good at following instructions. He literally just sent this to me. Hello, Kevin. I was happy to hear you on the Minnesota Crossroads. And I'm like, okay, great, brother. God bless. Okay. So when I go to where it says My Network, I'm going to go down here where it says More Options. Don't be fooled by this page. It's only showing you 4 email platforms, but LinkedIn supports hundreds of email platforms. What you need to do with this is you need to input your email addresses one at a time, hit continue, and allow LinkedIn to reconcile your email address from your Gmail account or your Yahoo account or any of a couple hundred email providers. You need LinkedIn to reconcile that against the email addresses associated with 750 million LinkedIn users worldwide. So you can identify all the people that you've had some form of an email communication with over the last 25 years, and then you can evaluate which of those people you'd like to connect with. I have an entire process on that. I don't have time to get into it. But the bottom line is this: more than likely, you probably don't have enough cards in your Rolodex. I'm not suggesting you're trying to be everybody's new best friend and be the most popular girl at the dance. I'm suggesting that the more people you could potentially create conversations with, the greater the likelihood something good could come from that. It's no more complicated than that. So what you need to do is you need to look at LinkedIn like the Rolodex that it is. Very few people study what to do with the Rolodex. Very few people study networking. Very few people study conversation and relationship and networking skills. Those are all the things I've been studying for 30 years. So of course I know a little bit about them. You're only going to be as effective in using a Rolodex as you know about what to do with Rolodexes. This is why most people on LinkedIn don't have a clue what they're doing. They're not stupid people. It's just not their area of expertise. They're handed the most powerful business Rolodex in the world, and they have no idea what to do with it. Well, I'm here to help you. It's really very, very simple, okay? So you need to integrate this to grow your LinkedIn network. I don't have enough time to go into that any more deeply than that, but you're probably sitting on hundreds, if not thousands of people that you have not connected with on LinkedIn yet that you should be connected to. Not because you're going to go beg them for a job, but because you're going to start to create, nurture, and deepen relationships. There's nothing. I know that this is a faith-based organization. Show me anything in the Bible, anything good. Show me anything good in the Bible that happened outside of relationship. It doesn't exist because it's God's law. We're wired for relationships. Isn't it ironic that few people study them? It just cracks me up. That's what we need to be studying. You study know, like, trust. You never worry about your next job. You never worry about your next client because it's not about your expertise in your chosen profession. We've already established that. It's about the only reason that you would struggle in finding a job. And folks, please take what I'm about to say next. I'm not trying to be mean. I love you enough to tell you the truth. The only reason you would struggle has nothing to do with COVID, has nothing to do with Biden or Trump, has nothing to do with locust plagues or wildfires. It purely, you've already agreed with it. It has to do that just because you're good at what you do, you have to combine it with an ever deepening understanding of know, like, trust. Okay. It's so self-evident. So now most people on LinkedIn have a free LinkedIn account. And there's nothing wrong with that. A free LinkedIn account is like a good Ford Taurus. It'll get you where you want to go. It's not sexy, but you don't need a sexy car. You just need a good car to get you where you want to go. So if I went, let's say, number one, I want to show you how these 3 steps are not abstract philosophy. I want to show you how these 3 steps are everything you're ever going to need to know. Number one, you need to have ways to find the people, and the people have to have ways to find you. Let me show you one or two of a tremendously large number of ways to do this. If we go onto the free LinkedIn site, and let's say you are looking to be hired by CEOs. I'm picking one of a trillion examples. If I type CEO in here and hit enter, now on LinkedIn's free site, I can go beyond here to where it says people. I'm going to click on people, and then I'm going to click on all filters. Now, most of you watching this probably know this, and if it's rudimentary, I apologize. You'll probably like more what I'm about to show you in 5 minutes. I can see which CEOs I'm already connected to. They would be first-degree connections of mine. That's a no-brainer. But maybe you want to see if anybody you're connected to could introduce you to some CEOs. So we want to go to second degree because LinkedIn works like 3 links on a chain. So if I want to see if any of my connections on LinkedIn are connected to anybody that has CEO in their LinkedIn job title, I can go with a number of filters here. I can go with second degree. Maybe I want them in Minnesota. I don't know. That's one of 1,000 things that I could do. There's Minnesota. Maybe I want them at a particular company. Maybe I want them in a particular industry. LinkedIn supports 147 different industries. So if I wanted to find CEOs in Minnesota that are connected to my connections that are in the IT industry, again, this is just a small sampling of 147 industries. I can do that. If I want to find the ones that speak Spanish, I can play with this all day long. Then I'm going to go down to keywords, and I could add maybe CEO in their current LinkedIn job title, not just CEO showing up somewhere in their LinkedIn profile. And now I get 90, what am I seeing here? 93 people are second degree connections, which means I know somebody that knows these people. So if I see that Heath Schubert is somebody that I want to do business with, I just go onto the profile and I can see that Heath and I share 1, 2, 3 connections. Then it would be smart for me to look at who are the people that we know in common. Again, this is another reason why you want a large LinkedIn network, because the larger your network, the greater the likelihood that you're connected to somebody that could introduce you to the person you want to meet. So LinkedIn's free features are good, but I'm now going to shift gears and go someplace else. I'm going to go to an area of LinkedIn called Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is not a free part of LinkedIn. It costs money, but there is a free 30-day free trial. You might want to try out for that. So I'm a very simple guy. I don't really look at costs. I look at return on investment. If you told me that LinkedIn Sales Navigator was $10,000 a month, which of course I'm being ridiculous, that wouldn't shock me. I would just ask myself, can I make 10,001 back by using it? It's purely an ROI computation. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is not expensive. Now, some of you will go, oh no, $70 sounds expensive. Well, it doesn't sound expensive. If you could pay me $70 and I could show you how to make 700 or 7,000, you'd find the $70, okay? I don't get a commission on this. I wish I did, but I don't. I've helped LinkedIn generate billions probably, but I'll never see a nickel of that. But I'm going to go to Sales Nav, and I'm going to do this a little differently. So let's go to SalesNav, and let's say that, just for the sake of example, let's say that I lived in the state of Minnesota, and maybe I was looking for a job as, Harry, you're still there? Can you unmute yourself for a second?
Yes, sir.
Harry, give me an example, because this is your world more than my world. You and I did not rehearse this. This is totally off the cuff. Give me an example of a job that I might be looking for. Any of 1,000 jobs.
Financial analyst.
Who are the kind of people that would have the authority to hire me for that?
Finance manager, finance director,
Good enough.
CFO.
Good enough. Let's go back to my 3 steps, because I want to show you this is not abstract philosophy. I don't care how good you are, if you cannot meet the right person that has the authority to hire you, it's irrelevant. So let me prove to you that these 3 steps make a lot of sense. Let's go to SalesNav. Do not worry for the next couple minutes. How did Kevin get to that page? What button did he crank? What lever did he push? Those are technical details. That is not the most important thing you need to take away from the next couple minutes. The most important thing you need to take away is the potential of what I could do. Number 1, I've got to find the kind of people that you just laid out for me, Harry, okay? So right here, there's about 24 filters, which I can mix and match in millions of combinations. So in this example, I'm looking specifically in the state of Minnesota. So I'm not interested in the 750 million people on LinkedIn. I'm interested in the people in Minnesota. So I'm going to go to geography, and I'm going to type in Minnesota. I could type in a city, a state, a country. I could even type in a zip code if I wanted to. I'm going to go to Minnesota. In the state of Minnesota, there are over 2 million people that have a LinkedIn account. What were the job titles you just threw by me, Harry?
CFO would be a good
What
one.
else? Director of Finance?
Director of Finance.
So LinkedIn's predictive intelligence, before I even hit the enter button, LinkedIn's predictive
You've got
intelligence.
director misspelled.
Yeah, that's why we're not having any. Director. You don't have to be that smart to be a professional speaker. So right here, what you're seeing is LinkedIn's predictive intelligence is giving me other ideas that maybe I hadn't even thought of. So CFOs alone, I've got 4,000. If I add director of finance, now I'm up to 6,500, okay? I could do this all day long. Now that I've got CFO and director of finance in Minnesota, I could pick any one of 147 industries. I could find the ones that went to the same college as me or any particular college. I could find the ones that speak Spanish. I could find the ones that have been CEOs for at least 10 years. I could do this till the cows come home, right, Harry? But now let me appeal to your common sense. I was teaching you earlier that in your LinkedIn profile, it shouldn't just be all the work-related stuff. It should also be who you are as a human being. So when we go back to Bart, I had very good reasons to put the fishing, the cooking, the music, and the sports in there. So Harry, please keep yourself off of mute. Harry, if I lined 6,500 people up against the wall, and I said, Harry, I want you to go try to start conversations with those people. You could probably do it. You're charming. You know how to form sentences. You're a friendly guy, but you're also very smart. You would say to yourself, well, wait a minute, Kev, 6,500 people, that's a lot of people. If I knew that I had something in common with some of these people, wouldn't common sense say that it would be easier for me to start conversations, not thinly veiled sales pitches or overly desperate job inquiries? Wouldn't it be easier for me to just start conversations with people if I knew I had something in common with them? Would you agree with that, Harry?
Absolutely.
So I just ask myself, what do I like to do for fun when I'm not working? I like to golf, fish, ski, travel, drink wine, go to concerts, you name it. Well, let's see if any of these 6,500 people have the word golf in their LinkedIn profile. There's 78. I like to travel. There's 200. I like wine. There's 21. All I'm demonstrating to you right now, you're in Minnesota, right? Let's go with Vikings. Not as good as the Seahawks, but whatever. Okay, so what all I'm demonstrating, all I'm demonstrating right now is that LinkedIn is a database on steroids. That's why you keep hearing me say, I'll say it again, to whatever degree you're comfortable. Include in your LinkedIn profile, not only all the geeky professional things, tell me who you are. Tell me about that you're a faith-based person. Tell me whatever you feel comfortable telling me. Because the more you're willing to tell me, the quicker I'm going to start to know you, like you, and trust you. The less you're willing to tell me, the slower I'm going to start to know you, like you, and trust you. So, Harry, you're a person of faith, right?
Absolutely.
Just for kicks, let's type church in here. There's 236. I could have typed faith in there. There's 35. I'm just playing with numbers, right? So I'm going to go with church. Let's go see who those people are. Now I've got 236 people, but now it's telling me even more. Who's changing jobs, who's active on LinkedIn, who went to the same college I went to. This is a gold mine. But Harry, you're not going to want to rerun this search every day. That would be a pain in the butt. So watch what I'm going to do next. This is a Minnesota CFO Director of Finance church list. Save search, Minnesota CFO Director of Finance church. I have to call it something. Now I want to be notified every day. If LinkedIn finds somebody tomorrow that is not one of those 236 people, LinkedIn's going to email me and tell me, Kevin, we found somebody new. Here they are. What you're watching me do right now was science fiction 10 years ago. What you literally just watched me do was I just put that lead generation, we can call it lead generation, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to be a salesperson to do this because it's the same 3 steps, whether you're selling something or whether you're looking for a job. I literally just put that on autopilot. Want to really get your mind blown? Let's go with let me show you a couple examples. This is what you and I just did. We just created the Minnesota CFO Director of Finance church search. There's no new results because we just ran it 60 seconds ago. See all these other searches, Harry?
Yep.
I don't have an interest in any of these. These are just examples that I created for my clients or webinars that I've been asked to do around the world, and I just forgot to delete them. So apparently on August 26th of last year, which was what, 6-7 months ago, I was working with somebody, I don't remember who, but I created a 50-mile radius of that zip code to look for anybody that has CEO, president, or owner in their job title, running companies with 11 to 200 employees, and somewhere in their LinkedIn profile is the word golf. You still with me, Harry?
Yes.
On August 20th, we found how many ever people we found. I don't know if you can see this on your end. Can you see that number, Harry?
Yep. 1495.
Let me just pause for effect.
To validate, I mean, as an executive recruiter, this is what I do, and this is how we track and find people as well. And so if you're looking for a job, absolutely, you want to have all this information in your LinkedIn profile.
Kevin, are you telling me that between August of last year and now, 6 or 7 months ago, are you telling me that LinkedIn has surfaced over 1,400 new people that literally didn't exist on August 26th? I just found 1,400 new people that fit that laser-focused parameter? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling you. This is mind-boggling, folks. Let me make a prediction. I don't really work in the recruiting world, but I would bet money on the table that probably 95 to 98% of the people in America that are looking for a job have never seen what I just showed you in the last 5 minutes. You could starve to death at a banquet if you didn't realize you were at a banquet. You're at a banquet. You are a mosquito in a nudist colony of opportunity. So let's go back to this example. I just proved to all of you that step 1 is the least of your problems. And that was just one of many ways to do that, okay? But none of those people are ever going to hire you for anything without you getting into a job, into a conversation with them. That validates my second step. So let me show you an example. Let me just pick somebody at random. Here's Lee Prinkala. Let's look at his LinkedIn profile. I'm not stalking. This is what he wants me to do. This is why he created a LinkedIn profile, for people to look at it. I am now going to look at his LinkedIn profile, and all I'm looking for is anything that I can use to create a simple and natural conversation. The reason why my methods tend to work so well is because they're simple and natural. What most people do in an attempt to either sell, get a job, whatever, what most people do is the opposite of simple and natural. It's complex and unnatural. No wonder it has such a slim margin of success. So Harry, I'm going to give you 2 examples of how I could attempt to get into a conversation with this man. What I want you to do, Harry, is I want you to tell me which of these 2 ways you think has a greater likelihood of getting a reply. Are you with me, Harry?
I am.
If I get a reply from this guy, are you and I in agreement that I've already accomplished step 1 and step 2 if I can get him to talk to me?
Yes.
Okay, here's example 1. Hey, Lee, my name's Kevin. Want to hire me? How do you think that's going to go over?
Not too well.
By the way, that's what people do all day long.
They do. I get those.
Kevin, you're being a little dramatic. Oh, I am? No, I'm not. What most people do all day long, they like to think they're a little more eloquent than what I'm describing. They're delusional because they have no evidence to prove that they're more eloquent than what I just did. If you have phone calls that don't get returned, emails that go into a black hole, and prospects that join the witness relocation program, go ahead and try to convince yourself you're a little bit more eloquent than what I just did, but your lack of results would indicate that you're not. Obviously, see, what most people do by mistake is they kiss on the first date. Harry, are you married?
I am.
What's your spouse's name?
Trisha.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Don't lie to me. When you first laid eyes on Trisha, were you attracted to Trisha?
I was.
So I'm assuming you grabbed her and started kissing her, right?
That wouldn't have worked too well.
Why not? Why did you have a hidden intention? Why did you have a hidden agenda? Why are you some weird, creepy stalker? Harry's not a weird, creepy stalker. You just don't walk up to a pretty girl named Trisha and start kissing her. Harry, I'm going to predict, by the way, you and Trisha accomplished step 1 when you crossed paths in life, however that happened. You identified her as somebody you wanted to do something with, but you didn't jump on her like a pit bull on a mailman. I'm going to predict that you started a conversation. And I'm going to predict that that conversation probably led to coffee, a date, movies, or something like that. Am I accurate?
You're accurate.
If I were to ask Harry the next question, if I were to say, Harry, when did you know it was the right time to kiss Trisha? He would probably answer me like this. Well, Kevin, it wasn't like she gave me a flow chart on the first date. It wasn't like she said, okay, on date number 4, after you've spent $282 on popcorn and movies, you can kiss me. What Harry would probably say if he was honest, and he is honest, is he would say, Kev, I just knew that it was the right time to kiss her. It just felt right. Well, you just described getting a job. You just described sales. So what we're going to do with this guy is we're not going to try to get him to hire us in the first 30 seconds. That is insane. We're going to try to get him to talk with us. There will be plenty of time. And I don't think for a second that I'm saying this has to take a long time, but it is ridiculous to think that a stranger is going to immediately offer you a job 20 seconds after they meet you. Where is the evidence to support this nonsense? So what if I said something like this? Why don't I just look at his LinkedIn profile? Why don't I just look at his LinkedIn profile, see what I have in common? He's begging me to email him, right? It's all right there. He's telling me everything I need to know. He's a person of faith. He's telling me everything. It's so simple if I just have basic to above basic conversation skills. What if I said this? Hey, Lee, my name's Kev. I was playing around with LinkedIn, came across your profile because I noticed we had a couple things in common, so I thought I'd extend my hand in friendship. Notice we both live and work in the greater Minneapolis area. Notice we've both done some work in you know, whatever, I forget what you even told me what the job was, Harry, but you know, just mentioned, notice we've done some work in financial affairs. Notice that we have some mutual friends, actually a heck of a lot of them, even though we've never met. And notice that it looks like you're a person of faith just like I am. I go to XYZ church. I'd love to hear where you go. Maybe we can compare notes. Anyway, if you're ever in my part of the state, give me a shout. I'll buy the first round at Starbucks. Go Vikings, Kev. Which of those 2 messages, Harry, do you think has a greater likelihood of getting a reply?
Second one has a bit of an edge.
Why?
It's personable. You're human. You are not trying to sell me on that first message. You're very approachable.
Did I ask you for anything?
No,
Did I make any promises of anything?
nope.
Let me ask another question. The message that you just heard me articulate, did that have anything to do with my LinkedIn skills?
No.
No. This is the point I want you all to hear, folks. Becoming a LinkedIn expert isn't going to find you a job. Understanding how to use LinkedIn basically combined, I don't know if I mentioned this before, drum roll please, combined with an ever deepening understanding of know, like, trust, which just means conversation and relationship building skills, that's going to get you the job. If your skill set was going to get you the job, you'd already have it. Okay. So even if he doesn't reply to that message, I have other ways of getting his attention without being a weird, creepy stalker. Okay. I can put him into a system where I could start to touch him without ever talking about my services. We just don't have enough time to get into that here tonight because I'm trying to cram, a 4-hour seminar into a 60-minute webinar. It's, we're running out of time and I want to be respectful. I think I probably got 2 to 3 minutes left.
Right.
So let me summarize this. Folks, here's the bottom line. Number one, I don't care how good you are at what you do. That's not going to get you the job. What's going to get you the job is being good at what you do combined with a deepening understanding of how to become more knowable, likable, and trustable. That's the bottom line. Go get Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Read it 100 times. Okay. The other thing is that there's really only 3 steps. Number one, you have to have ways to find people. People have to have ways to find you. There's so many ways to do that. It would take me hours and hours to get into hashtags, LinkedIn groups, posting, mining engagement on your posts. If you guys ever want me to come back and do webinars on any or all of those topics, just let me know. I can go for an hour on what you should be posting on LinkedIn and how to get more people to see it without it being a thinly veiled plea for a job. Get people to start nibbling on your hook and then start reeling in the fish. Number 2, you need to have ways to get people to talk with you. Well, sounding desperate and sounding like you're trying to sell somebody something is not a good strategy. Just starting a simple conversation like 2 guys sitting in an airport bar, far more intelligent strategy. Then once you get them to start talking with you, you need to build some rapport by taking a sincere interest in them as a human being, not as a potential paycheck. You need to take a sincere interest in them like Dale Carnegie taught. And then once there's a little bit of rapport established, it is so simple to shift the conversation without it being a weird, heavy, hire me kind of thing. It is so simple to shift when you shifted the conversation, Harry, with Trisha, you shifted the conversation from non-romantic things to romantic things. But you couldn't do that in the first 5 minutes. That would be insane, right? Do you have any kids together with Trisha, Harry?
We have 4.
Yeah, I'm going to guess it went past the kiss, but maybe that's just my impression.
Probably.
I'm just playing, folks. I'm trying to keep it light and keep you laughing while you're learning. Okay, folks, let me wrap it up with this. You are far closer to securing your next position than you realize you are. You really are. Because you've never had tools at your fingertips like the ones we have now to accomplish these 3 steps. There's never been tools like LinkedIn, email, video, all this stuff that you can use. This was science fiction 10 or 20 years ago, right? I mean, I remember my first car had an 8-track player in it, and I thought that was Star Wars. Look at what we're doing now, right? But at the end of the day, no matter how much technology advances, there's one thing that will never, ever, ever change. And that is, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. It's always been true. It's always going to be true. Focus on know, like, trust. If you ever want to go deeper into this stuff, you want to schedule a free hour with me on a Zoom meeting or something for me to take you by the hand, or for me to go through, open up my 30,000 connections and introduce you to some people maybe that could hire you. I do that all the time with my clients and friends. The larger your Rolodex, the more you could potentially open doors for people. So if you'd ever like to discuss that, give me a shout. I'm happy to chat with you. I just apologize in advance if it takes me a little bit to get back with you. I'm not avoiding you. I have a tremendous number of communications that are coming in on a daily basis, but I give you my word that if you send me a message, I will reply to you as quickly as I can. Harry, if you want to take the screen back, it's all yours, brother. Did that help?
Kevin, that was amazing. Actually, a couple of people posting in the chat just now that was incredible, and what a great session and great, fantastic presentation. So
those people need to get out more.
No, I totally agree. It was great. I think so many people underestimate the value of LinkedIn and what can be done. And as you put it, which I think is so critically important, is you can use it as a relationship builder rather than just pursuing data. And so too many people just view it as a data source without really seeing all the deep value that can come out of it.
Amen.
And so terrific perspective, great practical ideas and tips for people to be able to pursue. And hopefully it makes a huge difference in everybody's job search. Kevin, thanks so much. It was really helpful. I hope everybody else enjoyed the whole presentation. I appreciated John earlier. Haven't recognized Tom Jacobson has been managing the back end for us here tonight to make sure transitions go smoothly, and he's done a tremendous job with that. Tom actually leads the Woodbury location for Crossroads, and hope you get a chance to see him on future webinars as well. Be sure to check out the website for all the details of the things I talked about earlier. Take advantage of the classes, of individual coaching, of the networking group, and you can get all the schedules and everything on the website. Hope it was, our next webinar, be sure to take advantage of that, is coming up next Thursday morning, April 15th at 7:30 a.m. instead of in the evening. And that will be Derek Sussner, who has a creative firm, and he is going to talk about how to make sure your brand stands out. Getting your message right is critical to the job search, and has some great insight into how you can describe yourself as effectively as possible when you're networking and in your interviews. Don't want to miss that. And the details and pre-registration is on the website for that as well. Hope it was worthwhile for you tonight. Thanks for joining us, and hope to see you on future webinars. Have a good evening.